Welcome to this episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd. Today we have with us Jeff Abraham. Jeff, glad you could join us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, Jeff, before we start, I just need to bring this up because I noticed with your last name that all three of us have shitty last names when it comes to spam calls because we're very early in the alphabet.
That is true.
And I actually looked up why there's such a proliferation of calls to those last names in the first six letters of the alphabet. And it's because those cold callers get fired or quit so frequently that they give them the same lists and they start from A again. And so once you get past F, your chances of being hit by a cold call are actually 1 in 17 times less than if your last name is that first six letters of the alphabet.
No.
Is it too late to change my name at 64?
No. You can change it to like Zoltan Zelda.
I was going to say, my name will start with a Z or Y if I change it.
Well, if you have the same luck we do, by the time you did that, Jeff, then they're going to switch and they're going to say, hey, let's start from the back of the alphabet
and go. Who haven't been hit very much.
Right, exactly. Right. Actually, I just realized we just helped telemarketing. That was not a good thing. We just literally helped them because they have this untapped resource of everybody that has a last name S through Z that doesn't get that many calls.
Well, I created.
They're all going to hate us now.
A fake persona, and his name was Aaron Aardvark, just as an experiment to see how many emails and stuff I got. And no joke, I was getting like about 500 emails a day because I was registering it as a false persona on all these social media websites. And whenever I want to get some information on stuff but not want to give away my real email address, I'd use this Aaron Aardvark thing, and I created like a text-free number for it, and I'd have like about 20 voicemails a day, 500 emails, and most of it for crap. But anyway, during this last
now that we got the important stuff
out of the way, Jeff,
it's a public service announcement.
It is
we're helping people figure out how to get less spam calls.
Well, we're not really, because the only alternative we've come up with is change your name.
Yeah,
that's our normal level of helpful advice.
Even if we educate the spammers, they start calling people at the end, it'll give us a break up top. We've already had our share of abuse, okay? Let the people down on the bottom take care of this shit for a while,
Subconsciously selfish on my part, then,
absolutely.
I guess. Yeah. So, Jeff, during the last 2 years, obviously, a lot of businesses, a lot of people have been trying to make things easier because the slowdown of the economy due to COVID, people losing employment. But you've been making it harder for men. Why have you been making it harder for men, Jeff?
We've been making it harder because our products are meant to create better intimacy for couples.
Right.
And one of the ways you do that is for a man to become harder and last longer. So unlike a lot of companies that have been really hurt by people being at home and have, really been, impacted negatively, our business has soared because I think to a lot of degree, it's like, well, I'm home. I might as well find something to do. The gym's closed. I need some exercise. Let me hop on the old lady. You know what I mean? Or if it's a woman, let me bring my guy down for a little, one-on-one time. So our business has actually surged. And I wish I could say I was super intelligent and did this intentionally, but about 8 months prior to the pandemic, we brought our fulfillment in-house because we, like a lot of companies, we had a fulfillment house. And a lot of those people, when the pandemic hit, were forced to prioritize and go with essential services and, critical goods and masks and everything. We had brought it in-house. And so when that happened, we went 24/7 just shipping our products because that's all we have is, sexual enhancement products. So when you go on Amazon and you went to order, a male delay product or condoms or lubes or anything like that, they were like, well, you'll get them in 12 days because, we have all the, toilet paper and food and everything else going that's critical and hand sanitizer. You went on our website and you ordered, we were like, we'll ship it in an hour. You know what I mean? It'll be there in a day or two. So for us, the pandemic actually juiced our business in a very positive way. And we had people who were buying more retail that went, I don't want to go to a store and risk my health. Because remember, in the beginning of the pandemic, everyone's like, oh my God, if I get this, I'll die, as opposed to have flu-like symptoms. So there were a lot of people that didn't even want to go out. And so especially our online business on our own website just went insane. It doubled. It literally went up 100%, and we were already substantive. So, we did very, very well because I think a lot of people used the early days of the pandemic to, have a little more indoor exercise rather than outdoor.
Now, just to help our listeners, your product's a little bit different to a lot of the other products out there. I mean, especially some of the products like Pfizer, who can suck the part of my anatomy which your product enhances. But yours is very different in that it's a spray. Can you tell us how that works compared to like an oral ingested product?
Correct. Okay, so whenever you have an oral ingested product, and especially with the RX products, people don't realize this. With Viagra, it will make you hard, no question about it, okay? But at the same time, it was discovered to open up the heart valves of heart patients, people who had plaque and heart conditions. So there are dangers to it, and that's why it's RX and it's used off-label. Our product is a delay spray. It's over the counter because there are no side effects, and it's very, very safe. And it was developed by a Hoag Hospital urologist who happened to be my neighbor, my doctor, and my friend. And so when people came to see him, if they had issues with Viagra or they had issues with ED, he'd prescribe Viagra, Cialis, Levitra. They had incontinence, things. If they had prostate issues, he had many things. If someone came to him and said, hey, I want to last longer, I really want to, make love longer to my woman, he was really, well, you can either numb yourself up with some kind of analgesic, some kind of lidocaine or benzocaine product. But the problem is you're numb, your partner's numb. It defeats the whole purpose. The whole reason you're intimate is to have pleasure and feel the pleasure and not be numb. So he decided that he wanted to develop something because he had so many frustrated patients that needed help to last a little bit longer. So he took a lidocaine based product and he evaluated and said, well, it allows you to last longer, but you become numb. So he got together with a PhD inorganic chemist, and they developed a eutectic formula, which we patented, which changes the crystalline structure of lidocaine. Lidocaine in its present state natural state is a solid, meaning it's a crystal. It just sits on the surface of your skin. They changed the crystalline structure to where it's oil aqueous, meaning it's a liquid. And when they do that, it penetrates the dermis or stratum corneum. So it goes through the skin into the fatty layer of tissue underneath. When it does that, it allows the man to maintain a much higher degree of surface sensitivity, and it doesn't transfer to the female partner. So it was really an ingenious idea that he had. And that is the sole differentiating factor, because there had been products that had been out there prior to us, and they did allow you to last longer, but they numbed you, they numbed your partner. So there was the old, well, it has a benefit, but it also has a massive trade-off. My feeling is if you're making love to your woman, you're both numb and you can't feel anything, you might as well go take a spin class or go do hot yoga. You know what I mean? Because you're both going to sweat, but no one reaches the promised land. You know what I mean? Which is obviously an orgasm, which is pleasure, which is the whole idea of being intimate. So it was really a novel idea, and it was pure genius on how they came up with it. But it was revolutionary. And so the company, he asked me to take it over because I was the businessman who had just retired. This was 10 years ago, and he was a physician and didn't have a whole lot of business experience. So it went really, really well. So for the first 5 years, we became the dominant, preeminent force in men wanting to last longer. And believe it or not, a lot of our sales were spurs by females, because women, if they're in a relationship and a guy prematurely or rapidly ejaculates, think about this, the guy still gets off. The woman's like, excuse me, I'm over here. I'm in here too. You know what I mean? And let's step out of the realm of PE for a second, clinical premature ejaculation. Let's talk about the average healthy adult male and the average healthy adult female. The average healthy adult male lasts about 5 minutes and 42 seconds during penetration or thrusting during intercourse. The average female takes 19 minutes to achieve climax. That's why a lot of guys go, I'm the master of cunnilingus, extended foreplay, vibrators. I mean, guys stop, start, think about baseball scores. Every guy at some point in his life, not all the time, but at least occasionally, every guy is like, Oh my God, I hope she doesn't go reverse cowgirl. I can't last in that position. Oh my God, I hope she doesn't get on top, because there are certain positions that tend to lead to a more rapid ejaculation. There are others that you can last a lot longer. So I call it the old walking on eggshell syndrome. There's some cases, even if you last long enough that your partner climaxes, you're very well aware whether she has or not. You're like, okay, not yet, not yet. She's still, okay. Oh, okay, great. She has, now I can. That is just indicative of anxiety. If your main goal and you're so acutely aware of whether or not your partner is climaxed, it takes away from your experience, because you're literally, like I say, walk on eggshells, like not yet, not yet, not yet. Oh, okay, she's done. Okay, now I can. And sometimes we tell people, would you rather have the thought process be, can I last long enough? Or would you rather it be, should I give her 2 orgasms or 3 before I'm done? That's obviously a very, very better scenario for you if there's no doubt in your mind you're lasting long enough to please her. And the question is it 1 or 2 or whatever before I finish? It just takes a little anxiety, because anxiety and intimacy should never enter the same conversation. They should be separate and distinct. They should not ever be, together. Intimacy should be free of anxiety. So, we did really, really well. And then about 5 years ago, some of our, really big customers were like, hey, when I was lasting a minute or 2, I didn't really need lube, but now I'm lasting 10, 12 minutes. Can you recommend a lube? So we start recommending. They were like, well, that one's good, but not good enough. Why don't you guys develop a lube? So we did, and it went really well. Then they were like, how about a silicone lube? I'm like, okay. Then they were like, how about an organic aloe vera lube? I'm like, okay. Then after that, we went into a female arousal gel, because a lot of our partners of people who were buying our product were like, how come all these products for men? There's nothing out there for women. We were like, okay, let's see what we can do. So we developed a women's arousal gel, then a second women's arousal gel. Then we developed some condoms. Then we developed a product called VitaFlux, which is a nitric oxide supplement that gives you more energy, that gives you more blood flow, that it's natural. It's all amino acids. It's L-carnitine, L-arginine, L-citrulline, magnesium, and zinc. And there are no side effects to it. And it's a powerful over-the-counter vitamin supplement with amino acids that really help both men and women have a lot more vitality. It helps you recover from workouts, because when you work out, one of the reasons you're sore is because you develop a lot of inflammation from breaking down muscles, which then grow back stronger. And the way that you recover is by getting oxygenated, rich blood to the area. And this is a way of naturally enhancing that by increasing the blood flow. So we've been very fortunate. I wish I could say this all started as a grand plan. I had everything completely mapped out. But the thing with the pandemic, we kind of backed into. I just happened to, create our own fulfillment center a year before the pandemic. And I listen to our customers. When people say now, oh my God, you had this master plan. I'm like, well, I wish I had a master plan. We were just content on being the world's best delay spray, because that market is huge. And then our customers came to us and said, hey, can you help us out? We need some good lubes. And we developed those. And then one thing led to another. And we've literally been introducing 2 to 3 new products a year. And sometimes people say to me, what's your goal? How many new products do you think you're going to, introduce? And I said, well, you'll be surprised by this answer. They go, okay, what is it? I said, we may introduce 10 over the next 5 years. We may introduce 0. And this is the reason. We will never introduce a product unless we feel it is as good, if not better, than everything else in that category. For this reason, when we introduced the lubes and we introduced, the female arousal gel, some of our other products, vibrators, we have everything. When we introduced the other products, they start selling immediately. We didn't even have to do a separate marketing campaign. We just put them on the site because we have a lot of people that are sexually active. So I remember we did the female arousal gel. We sent out all these emails, and we said to the first 50 people that bought it, hey, what gave you the confidence to buy a female arousal gel from us? We're normally, a male delay spray. And it was funny. Every response was almost identical. It's like the same person wrote it, just switching the words a little bit. And it was this: if it's on this site, we know it's top notch, and we know you guys will back it 100%. I was like, whoa, I love to hear that. That's very comforting to know that people believe that if it's on this site, it's a top-notch product and we will stand behind it. We did the same thing with VitaFlux. And then when I saw that, I brought all my people inside and I said, we still want to continue to talk to our customers and expand into other areas. But look at what people are telling us. If it's on this site, I will order it because I know that it's a quality product and I know you'll stand behind it. The first time we put something marginal out there and someone buys it and goes, not the same caliber, they will never have that trust and that confidence in us ever again. So it's essential that going forward that we maintain that mantra that we will not introduce a product that is not as good, if not better, than everything in that category. If we can't say that, we're not going into that area. We're not going to have a product in that area. So that's the standard by which this company operates. And as long as I'm the CEO and running it, that will never deviate, because that's critical to us. We have the ability to grow. We grew 100% last year. We have the ability to continue to grow like that without ever introducing another product, because the markets we serve are so huge. So the key thing for us is just reach more people, because we're a small company. But to start adding products just for the sake of having another product that's not as good, if not better than everything else in that category, would diminish our brand and would take away from who we are and what people believe us to be. So it's essential that we maintain that.
Well, based upon those statistics you gave us about 5 minutes ago on the average orgasm times for men and women, and the discussions that the Shepherd and I have had about experiences with our own wives, I've come up with a couple of advertising slogans for you. Number one, why disappoint her once when you can disappoint her twice? And also, third time's a charm. So I think those would be pretty good.
Those are actually clever. I love both of those.
Now, where did the name Promescent come from?
It's very interesting you'd ask that, because if you look at some of our competitors, I wish I was kidding, but I'm not, when I tell you they have names like Do Me Long and Hard, Stud 100, and you see, and on the cover, there's like, literally like a horse jumping up, like he's a stallion, and Do Me Long and Hard is a woman with a bottle between her legs where her clit would be. Promescent is a medical term. It comes from the word prolonged tumescence. Tumescence means engorged with blood. It's a medical name for an erection. So promescent comes from prolonged tumescence, hence Promescent. It was developed by Dr. Ronald Gilbert, the founder of our company, the urologist who founded Promescent. So in honoring him, I wanted to keep that, you know what I mean? Like, because it is a medical name. And one of the things we're very proud of is there's 2,200 urologists in North America that have Promescent by name in their protocol. The protocol is every medical condition in this country has a protocol. So when you go to see a doctor, and in the protocol, it defines the condition. This is what it is. This is the origin, whether it's genetic or, acquired or whatever. Then it talks about possible remedies, we're in the protocol by name. In 2,200 urologists, if you go in to see them and you go, I need to last longer, it'll say Promescent by name. And we're very proud of that. That, was something that, really helped us branch out into the recreational space. Because one of the things I will tell you, whether it's Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, us, any sexual product, 80% of people that buy it use it recreationally. Anyone who thinks that there's 10 billion a year in sales in ED drugs to all people who have ED is sniffing glue. Okay. Everyone wants to feel like they were 18 again, that wants to have an instant erection that lasts for 3-4 hours. And, I'm 64, and I can tell you that me and my friends will get together and reminisce about when we were 18, 20, and the wind blowing used to give you a hard on, you know what I mean? And even when you had sex with your partner, once you ejaculated, you're good to go again 3 minutes later, And to use an analogy, I used to tell people that, when you're in your 18 to 30 year age range, you're like a machine gun, unlimited supply of bullets, just spraying all over the place. You can literally have sex 4, 5, 6 times a day if you want to. Then you're in your 30 to 40 range and you're like a semi-automatic, rifle, bolt action, boom, boom. Then you get into your, 40 to 50 range and you're a rifle with a single shot. Then you get into your 60s and then you're like a pistol with a single shot. Then you get in your 60s, you're like a musket. You know what I mean? You have to put the powder in, put the ball, you know what I mean? Like, and you're like, okay, once a night, I need a night's sleep, a good breakfast, you know what I mean? And then I'm ready to go again tomorrow. So you don't treasure, and you tend to take for granted that when you're in your 20s that, sex is a 2 to 3 times a day thing, anytime, any place. And then, gradually you begin to realize no. And then you get to be my age, 64, you go, I treasure every one of these experiences, and, I think that's one of the reasons why we have a lot of younger men who use the product, because sometimes when you're first getting active sexually, you don't completely have control of the response. And sometimes you get older, you go, I only do this 2, 3 times a week. I got to make each one as pleasurable as possible. But there's a lot of people that, I think are a little more progressive. And even when they get in their early 30s, go, why not make everyone as enjoyable as possible now and not wait until I have a limited supply left? And, we have a lot of people that tell us, I would never be classified as a classic PE sufferer, but I use your product because I just love the idea of having that extra time. You know what I mean? I love the idea. And sometimes people tell us I use it almost like an insurance policy, because if I'm with a new partner or I haven't been intimate in a while, a lot of people find that the level of excitement is higher with a new partner, and because let's face it, I don't care how much you're in love with your wife. If you've been with someone 30 years and you've been intimate with them 3,000 times, it's not like the first time ever again. There's only a first time once. And then there's a 100th time, and then a 200th time. With familiarity, it does make things a little more routine, and the excitement level does go down a bit. Doesn't make it still not pleasurable, but a lot of men will tell us the first time I'm with a new partner, I have a tendency to have a little bit of a quicker trigger. Or if I haven't ejaculated for a period of time because, my wife was sick, or my wife was traveling, or she was traveling, then she got back and I was traveling. So it's been a while. If you haven't had a release in a while, you're going to have a little bit of a quicker trigger. So we find a lot of men will tell us, I like it kind of an insurance policy. And one of my neighbors who uses our product pretty frequently used an analogy one time that I found really fascinating. He said to me, it's like having fire insurance on your house. I'm like, using Promescent is like having fire. I go, in what way? He goes, well, if once your house is on fire, you go, oh my God, now I need insurance. It's too late. You can't call the fire company, have them come out when the house is burnt down. He said, if I'm with someone new and it's the first time I'm with them, and early on into when I start thrusting, I'm like, holy shit, I'm not gonna be able to last. I can't go, wait, hang on. You know what I mean? Let me stop. I'd rather have that insurance policy in place to literally go, no matter what, I know I'm going to satisfy this person because this is early on in the relationship. And if I don't, I might not have a second or third chance to do it. I started laughing. I go, that's a pretty good analogy. Now you think about it, the fire insurance kind of a thing. If you wait until you go, oh my God, I need it, it's too late, once the house is burning down. So we have a very loyal following. We have people that love us and use us regularly. We have other people that use us sporadically if they're in a new relationship. I have one guy in particular that I know. He's a college friend of mine. I don't live near him now, but we still communicate. And he'll tell me, there are times that I want to use it. And there are times where if it's like a Friday night and I'm getting up early to play golf at 6 a.m., it's already midnight, I'm not using your product because I got to get to sleep by 12:30 or 1. And he goes, there are other times, the kids are gone and my wife and I, it's a Saturday night, we don't have to get up early Sunday, then I am using your product. I go, wow, that's interesting, and so he'll use it depending upon, the circumstances. If he wants to get it over with quick, he's not going to use it. If he feels that he can have a marathon session, then he is. So we have people that use it because they do have medical issues. And the one thing I will tell you, for many years, comedians and even people in media made light of it. It was like, oh, if you prematurely or rapidly ejaculate, you don't have the mental strength, or, you don't care enough about your partner. From doing this for 10 years now and talking to people who suffer with PE for, a lot of almost their entire adult life, I will tell you there's nothing more than a person who suffers with this wants to do than satisfy his partner. No one wants to disappoint their partner. And not limited to, but including, there are 5 to 6 medical issues that cause this: hypertension, hypersensitivity to the penile nerves, low testosterone, prostatitis. So this isn't like a lot of people used to think that, oh, it's in your mind, or whatever. There are physiological issues that cause rapid or premature ejaculation. And one of the things that always puzzled me is there's sometimes this shame around people using any kind of sexual enhancement product. A lot of times a guy's using Viagra, Salsivita, he doesn't want his partner to know. He's using Promescent, doesn't want his partner to know. And I always laugh at that because I go, these are physiological issues. Would a diabetic ever be ashamed to tell someone he was using insulin? Of course not. Would a person suffering with cancer ever be embarrassed because he was using chemo? No, those are physical issues. There are some physiological issues here that cause this. So why the stigma? People are really uptight about sex. It's a shame. And this, now we're 2022. I think it's the first time I actually said 2022 in a new year, but here we are in 2022. And how ironic is it that we're still so fucking uptight as a society that people have to go, I don't want anyone to know I'm doing this. It's like, it's life, relax. The whole goal is to have good intimacy with you and your partner. Doesn't matter what it takes as long as you get there.
No, it makes sense to me. And I was kind of thinking about that guy that's standing in line at the gas station, right? And we talk about kind of the inferior products. I've seen people standing in line at the gas station, been in line behind them or whatever, and then they say, hey, I want one of these or whatever. They're not going to get the return policy or the guarantee like your company provides. Yes. So, do you ever see somebody buying one of those? Maybe, you go in and grab a Coke or whatever because you just filled up with gas and you're thinking to yourself, man, if you only knew the better way.
You don't know, but you can't bring it up because it's such a touchy subject, especially in public when someone's buying. You go, hey, wait, I just saw you buy those boner pills. You know what I mean? Or I just saw you buy whatever. But it does happen where I go, Jesus, I feel bad because I wish I was kidding you, but you go into those places, you'll see deer antler extract, shark fin, bull testicle derivative. I'm like, how much does it tell you how deep these problems are and how many people suffer that there could be companies making that nonsense? And there's actually a market for someone going, let me get dried up bull testicle and try that. Let me get some shark fin. Let me get some African rhino horn. You know what I mean? And try that.
That actually sounds like the ingredients of most of the energy drinks I buy from gas stations
Yes.
as well, actually. Yeah.
No, I think they're touted to cure anything. You know what I mean? Lip, penis, lack of energy, better workouts, bigger muscles, anything that
COVID, ginger hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sprinkle some, put it up your nose, but it's just, it's bizarre because we have clinical trials. That cost millions of dollars. We have certified clinical trials that are IRB certified, statistically significant. Our one for our actual spray was done at the University of Kentucky Sexual Wellness Center by Dr. Kristen Mark. And if you look at our site, you see all these very credentialed medical professionals, like the president of the International Society of Sexual Medicine, Dr. Wayne Hellstrom from Tulane, is one of our board of advisors. Dr. Mohit Kira, who's the president of the Sexual Medicine Society in North America. These are people you see on our website extolling the virtues of Promescent, telling you how good the product is. It's based in science or clinical studies that it work. And then you see the average consumer who sees a Getty stock photo on another site that says doctor approved. It's not even a doctor. It's some actor in it. And they don't know the difference between that and then seeing a video from Dr. Mohit Kira where he tells you, I'm the president of the International Society of Sexual Medicine. Ignorance is bliss. And a lot of people in this country have stopped asking questions and questioning. And they're just like, well, if it says it must be true, without doing the proper homework, without taking your time. I received a lot of criticism early on when we first put our website together because people go, is that a university educational site or you're trying to sell product? I go, well, we are a company has products for sale, but we truly believe that the best way that for people to buy our products is to really have as much information as possible and buy the right product for the right reason and use it correctly. Because there's tutorials, there's videos that show you how to use product and everything. Because to me, the more information that a person has, and if they're buying the right product for the right reason and they use it correctly, they become a repeat customer. And we have tried to build this company based on repeat customers, not a bunch of people coming and trying it one time and be disappointed. number one, they're never coming back. Number two, if anyone ever mentions it, they'll go, I tried that shit. It doesn't work. With us, we love the idea that someone's going to go, holy shit, this isn't the cheapest out there, but it's the best and it actually works. And I tell people that nothing is more gratifying to me because about 20% of our customers fill this out. We have this customer survey. And it's how'd you find us? Was it a YouTube video? Was it a podcast? Blah, blah, blah. Which podcast? And down at the bottom, one of the last things is, was it a referral from a friend? The first 2 to 3 years, especially when all we had was a delay spray, we never got one, not a single one of those referred by a friend.
That could be awkward depending on who the
you're
referral
identifying
was.
yourself as a premature ejaculator. Hey, try this premature, but as we really and truly grew, and especially now with a wide variety of products, probably 20% of people that fill that out say referred by a friend. And there's no better testimonial, because it's unbiased, is if a friend says to you, this works. I tried this product. This actually works. And you touched on something earlier, when you go into a gas station and you buy some of these products, it's buyer beware. You take it and it either works or it doesn't. That's it. You go to our site, you buy our products from us, and there's a 60-day full unquestionable money back guarantee that if you are dissatisfied for any reason, doesn't have to be defective, doesn't have, oh my God, the product leaked out, whatever. If you tried it, you didn't like it, you email us and you get a full refund. And people go, well, don't you run into some scammers? Sure. We've had a couple people that use 4 different emails over a year and order our product every single time. The same person and goes, oh, I tried the product, I didn't like it, and you sent a refund. Then 3 months later, the same address, same person using a different email. But to me, I'll put up with the few scammers here and there to give people the confidence that we are who we say we are, that our products are effective and they work, and that if they don't, we take the risk away. We want to make it a risk-free proposition. We want to make it so that here's your 2 options. I love this, it works, I'm going to continue to use it, or I got a full refund, so I risked absolutely nothing by trying this product. And it'd be very hard to do that if you were the type of company where your products didn't work and there was a lot of dissatisfaction, because all you'd be doing would be refunding money all day.
Now, Jeff, I was wondering actually if you could send us a free sample, not because we want to use it for the intended purpose.
And that sounded a little creepy, by the way.
I shall explain. I shall explain.
Well,
it's not.
I would prefer that separately.
Yeah. It's not because we need
Let's
it
just be clear
for its intended purpose, because we both got pretty hot wives. It's just I want to use it to be more intimidating because I figured I could get through the line quicker at the church buffet. Now.
You mean wielding your sword? You know what I mean? Like, whoa, let that guy through. He's got work to do later. You know what I mean?
Now, do you actually produce similar product for animals? And the reason I ask that is because obviously people who start out.
What kind of question is that?
Well, if you listen, you'll know, mate. As people who start out animals, when those animals get later on in life, they lose that teenage boy approach of have sex with anything, and it's actually hard to make older stud animals sometimes have sex. So is there a spray for animals that works like that? Because that's true. You can look that up. Do you actually have a spray for animals?
That's kind of intriguing. I never thought of that, but we've pretty much stayed in the human species.
Jeff, I don't think anyone in the world has ever thought about that. That's just how creepy he is sometimes. That has to be the creepiest question I think we've ever asked on the podcast.
I go to the zoo once a week. It's on my mind quite frequently.
It's actually intriguing though. Now that I think about it, we might go to the horse farms, because those horses, I mean, some of them command $1 million stud fees, and if we could make one of those, Seattle Slews or, American Pharaoh, just maybe a little more virile, who knows what they'd pay for that,
Yeah. Don't send him any part of the royalty check for doubting me.
That's okay. Yeah. I want to just kind of back off from that deal.
I'll put, when people say, how did you make your fortune? I'll just put horse cock. Yeah.
Well, that would leave him open to the amount. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. No, that I really like that.
Right. So Jeff, tell us. I know you.
I can't even wait for the next question.
Well, I was going to say, Jeff. Now, obviously, you didn't come out the womb with this destiny. Well, maybe you did, to produce a premature ejaculation spray. What happened in your life before that led up to that?
It's very interesting that you asked that, because I'll tell you what my prior life was business-wise, and I'll tell you right now to imagine the most circuitous route possible that made absolutely no sense how I ended up here, and this will blow that away, okay? Think of the absolute, when I tell you, okay, what would be the least likely career to lead you into, running a sexual wellness company specializing in male delay spray? And I'll give you an answer that is less likely than whatever it is you came up with, okay? So I owned a semiconductor engineering business that was basically geared towards producing computer chips, which are integrated circuits. They used to call them computer chips, but now they're integrated circuits, because early on, all they used them for was computers. And now every cell phone, everything has an integrated circuit in it. So I was your typical knucklehead Eastern guy, grew up in Western Pennsylvania outside of Pittsburgh, definitely lower middle class, but wonderful family. And I moved to California in 1982 with 2 suitcases and $500, started working, got involved in the semiconductor industry, worked my way up, started my own company. So at age 53, I retired. And Ron was my neighbor, Ron Gilbert, the guy who developed this company. He was my next door neighbor. And I went to see him for my yearly visit right after I retired. And he's like, hey, I really respect your business acumen, because I lived in a very nice neighborhood. I'd done very well for myself. That's why I retired. He goes, and I started this new product, this company, but I'm a doctor, and my friend from high school and college is running the biz. He doesn't really know what he's doing. Can you help us out? Sure. What is it? He goes, I developed a treatment for PE. And I go, you developed a treatment for physical education? Because when I grew up, PE was physical education. He's like, no, dummy, it's pre. I go, oh, like ED is, yeah. This is PE. Okay, great. Does it work? He goes, oh, it works really well. I said, really? I said, well, how big is the market? He goes, it's bigger than the ED market. I go, that's impossible, because I had just seen a 60-minute special about 2 weeks prior to that talked about the ED market. And they said it was $5 billion a year. And that for every legitimate tablet made, there was 1.2 knockoffs made in China or Mexico. I'm like, that's $10 billion. I go, bigger than that? He goes, yeah. He goes, actually 10 to 15% of the ED market is misdiagnosed PE. Because if a man has chronic ED or chronic PE, meaning he always ejaculates early, he'll develop anxiety-related ED, because his body and his mind realize that getting an erection leads to an unsatisfactory conclusion. So he'll literally develop ED because he doesn't want to get an erection, because he knows it's not a good conclusion. I'm like, whoa. I said, give me a bottle of this. I want to try it. So he hands me a bottle. I'm not even out of the parking lot. And I called the gal I was dating at the time. She was a financial analyst for Shearson Lehman. I'm like, hey, Carolyn, I go, I need you to help me tonight. Could you come over? I'm going to evaluate this new investment. I want you to help me out. Oh, great. I'd love to. So she comes over that evening and we have dinner. And after dinner, she goes, hey, let's take a look at that investment. So she thinks I'm going to come downstairs with this pro forma or some spreadsheet about some company I want to invest in. And so I come down with a bottle of Promescent and I go, here's what we're going to evaluate. And she's like, what? And she looks at it. She goes, you're such a pervert. I go, no. I go, well, don't get me wrong. I am a pervert. Okay. That I admit, but we're actually going to evaluate this, because I showed her, she had met Ron because we were friends. Ron and I were friends. I was dating her. She goes, oh my God, that is Ron's company. I go, yeah, no, it is. I go, he developed this product. So the next day he calls me, goes, hey, what'd you think? I said, well, actually, I think we need to change the name. And he goes into this impassioned thing. Well, no, the name Promescent means prolonged tumescence, and he goes, wait, why would you want to change it? I go, I have a better name. He goes, what's your new name? I go, how about Bone Like a Porn Star? He's like, what? I go, dude, that stuff was insane. I go, I got news for you, because he knew my girlfriend. I go, Carolyn, literally, I felt like it was a UFC fight. She was tapping out. I was like, hey, I worked this hard. Okay, I'm finishing. You know what I mean? And he starts laughing. He goes, how much did you use? I go, well, it said 3 to 10 sprays. I go, so I went in the middle, like 5 or 6. He goes, that's if you have severe PE. I go, I didn't know. He goes, if you're using it recreationally, use 1. I go, well, thanks for telling me now. And we started laughing. And the next day I went and wrote him a check for $100,000 and I invested in the company. And I was bored. And he goes, hey, can you write us a business plan? I think you have some good ideas. And I did. And that business plan made a lot of sense. And the company started doing really well. And then they asked me to do a second phase business plan. And I did. And they came back and said, well, that's really bright. We think it'll work, but we don't have that kind of capital. It's going to take like another $400K. I said, well, I'll invest another $400K, but you have to put it in a separate account and use it for exactly what I told you to use it for, because you guys have a tendency to be a little less than focused on this. And so they did, and the company really started to take off, and they asked me to take it over. And I took the company over in 2012 and became the CEO. Unfortunately, and there's always, in a lot of great success stories, sometimes there's some tragedy. In 2013, January 27th, Ron was murdered in a case of mistaken identity. And it was just, it's beyond comprehension. It's the most senseless, the most insane thing you'll ever hear of. But someone who had a prostate surgery 23 years prior to this is back in 2013, decided he was going to kill the doctor that did the surgery and got the name wrong. And it was the wrong guy. But, after 23 years, you don't remember who exactly did your surgery. He made an appointment and had a gun in his backpack in the room. Ron came into the room thinking he was seeing the last patient in the morning on January 27th. The guy was waiting in a shooting position and murdered him and shot him. And it's still to this day, it shakes me to my core because, for the longest time, I tried to figure it out, because we as rational human beings want to know, we want to figure it out. We want to go, okay, what happened? What was that? What prompted that? For me, the only way around it was I had to give up on trying to figure it out because the guy was insane. Okay. And a rational mind could not make sense of irrational behavior. Okay. If you're not insane, why would you try to figure out why someone insane did something? You're not in that mindset.
Right. I mean, it's like men trying to figure out what women are thinking.
Good point. That's exactly two different brains, two different mindsets.
Well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because about what you never know what insane people are thinking. I actually read a news article earlier today about a guy who cut off the heads of both of his parents and boiled them in a pot because he couldn't find a way to get out of the lie he told them that he had got a job with SpaceX. And it's like, well, if you tell a lie that grandeur, you need to have an exit strategy, right? For when they're kind of like, how's it going at SpaceX? You want to send us a photo? No. You got to have an exit strategy. But it's just like that. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you try and reverse engineer it, you can't figure out the minds of the insane.
No, you can't. I mean, try to figuring that out, why the guy had to cut off his parents' heads instead of just going, hey, I got some emotional issues. I made up a really big lie. You know what I mean?
Mommy, daddy, I'm full of shit. Yeah. Easier.
Exactly. But for me, it was very, very difficult. And the only thing that I decided that I had in my power that I could do, I couldn't unring that bell. I couldn't change the past. I couldn't bring him back. But what I could do was give him a legacy and make this company something spectacular. And since his wife and his two sons still own 20% of the company, I could take away any economic anxiety and any money woes that they would have. So I've dedicated the last 10 years of my life to giving him a legacy. That's why I try to mention him, Dr. Ronald Gilbert, on every show, podcast, interview that I do. And we're doing very well now, and I'm able on a yearly basis to provide very significant dividend checks for his wife and his two sons who have had to live through an unspeakable tragedy, and hopefully, just relieving any economic anxiety they might have, would make their lives hopefully slightly better. Because, when you know them as well as I know them, and you see them go through something like that, you realize they're never going to have that unmitigated joy again. They're never going to have that just overall optimism about life in general. Think about losing a father in that fashion. I mean, when you lose a father to an accident or a car wreck or something, it's one thing. But to know that some other human being walked in there and took his life for no reason, the wrong reason, not even the guy that did the surgery didn't deserve to die, for God's sakes. It's 30 years now that that guy had the surgery. Can you imagine back then? What were they using? Like, a candle and a freaking penknife. I mean, surgery it's not that advanced now, and it's really hard for me to fathom, to be quite honest with you. And it's very difficult. And I sometimes, when I think about it, it bothers me and I get very emotional because, I'm not a religious person. And some cases you have friends that are, and they'll say stuff to me like, he's in a better place right now. And I heard that for the first 8 months or 9 months. And there's a very good friend of mine who was a bank manager. I went in to see her one time and she knew Ron. We both banked at the same place. Plus our company bank account was there. And I went in one time and she goes, "Oh man, I can tell you're still not yourself." I go, "No, it's been difficult." And she goes, "Well, just think Ron's in a better place right now." And I guess I had just had enough, of hearing that mindless trope so often. I looked at her, I said, "Really?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, he's in a better place." I said, "Well, then do me a favor. Why don't you go and send him back? If it's a better place, why don't you go there and enjoy it and send him back?" Because I know to myself and his wife and his kids, and there's a lot of us who really loved him that would rather have him here. And I know him really well, and he'd rather be here with his sons and his wife. So if it's a better place, why don't you go and send him back? She's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, I didn't mean anything by it." I said, "No, I've just had it." You know what I mean? I'm just tired of that. I know it's awkward. I know that, you don't know what to say, but don't say that.
Yeah, there are so many people though that get in that uncomfortable position of, what are you supposed to say? One of my pet peeves, I've been to way too many funerals, funerals. And my wife just kind of a gut reaction will always say, "Well, how was the funeral?" And how do you answer that? It's like, "Oh, it was fantastic. It was the best funeral ever been to."
DJ was awesome.
It's kind of tough for people, and so I kind of get that, where they're coming from.
I went to my dad's funeral, and I adored my dad. I was a dad's boy from day one. I'll never forget. I was at my dad's funeral. I was standing next to the casket, and one of my cousins comes up, looks at me, and goes, "He looks really good." I'm like, "What?" He looks really good. I go, "No, he looked really good when he was alive and vital and warm and loving." I go, "This is something that I guess some people need to help cope." You know what I mean? And to see the definitive, but no, he doesn't look good because he's pasty and pale and sick. And he looked good when he was alive and warm, And one of the things that I've always promised myself that I'll do, and I did this with my mom because my mom got terminal liver cancer, and I brought her into my home to care for her during the last 60 days. And she had, a real difficult time. She was down to like 80 pounds by the time she passed away, and her body was just eaten alive by the cancer. And for me, I was glad to be there to comfort her, to be able to say goodbye and everything. But I'm sitting here right now, I'm looking at a picture of her on my desk, full of life and vigor. And I immediately surrounded myself with those pictures. I didn't want to remember her how she died. I wanted to remember her how she lived. It was important for me to be there for her and comfort her and to help her make that transition. But at the same time, I don't want to remember her, wasting away to nothing and sick and, with tubes sticking out of her, and everything else. I wanted to remember her with happiness and a smile and that energy and everything else. So I've tried myself now to always think when those situations come up, try to be a little more sensitive. You know what I mean? Like if someone ever would lose someone in a tragic situation, I'd say, "I'm really sorry." You know what I mean? And this must be very difficult. It's just a very difficult time. I understand that. If there's ever anything you need, I'll be here for you. But I'm not going to say to someone he's in a better place because I don't believe that.
Yeah, I think that mainly comes from, Jeff, a lot of people die at the end of a prolonged illness, or
yes,
they're in pain and there's suffering. It's like
they are in a better place,
and they move on to somewhere where there's peace. But I think when people use that as a blanket statement, I mean, if you've got somebody like your friend who was living a great life, wonderful family,
full of health,
and just cut down, it doesn't matter if he's in a better place. The time was not to be in that better place. There's a time for us to be in that better place, and that was not it.
My mom was in a better place when she passed away because she was in extreme pain, extreme misery, and there was zero quality of life left. So you're exactly right. I'll give you that. She was in a better place. It hurt me to watch that last couple of weeks. And I had the thought process. I thought to myself, we as a society, if an animal is in extreme pain and can't recover, we help them pass away gracefully and peacefully by giving them a shot. Why can't we do that for a human being? Okay. Because sometimes the person is so medicated, I'm not even sure they're aware of it. Their body's jerking and, twitching and they're moaning out and they're in extreme pain. And as a child, and this is your parent, it guts you. You're just like, I don't want to see my mom or dad to be suffering. I mean, they're 85 years old. They're at the end of life. What is the point in this, you know? But you're right. In that case, you're in a better place, because prolonging that is nothing but misery and pain. There's no quality of life left.
Right. Yeah. I've always told my wife I don't want a funeral for two reasons. Reason number one, I'd rather people, remember me for who I was when I was alive.
Yes.
And reason number two, I know my wife is going to take a date to my funeral and go ahead and move on. And I would rather not have everybody that I know see my wife take a date to the funeral. So that's why I will not have a funeral. And he's responsible to make sure that I don't have a funeral, because I know he's going to outlive me. But let's talk about what's next for your company. I don't want to dig too much into, some secrets or whatever that y'all have got cooking up, but I know there's probably some stuff on the horizon for y'all that y'all are looking at bringing out, maybe developing, that you can maybe tell us about that, y'all are currently working on.
And Jeff, before you jump in on that one, that was very similar to what I was going to ask, but in addition to that, you can answer it in the same answer. Is there any science behind any type of pheromone which would actually have a similar effect? Because obviously, if you go from the oral ingestive product to now the spray on, is there any science behind actually any effective pheromones which will cause arousal in those respects? I mean, I know for a woman, it's probably the smell of a credit card, but
literally exploded. If you see, there's tons of them and they sell really well. So we had a pheromone program in place where we said, is this an area we need to look into? I can't find a single bit of scientific evidence anywhere that suggests that there is any real correlation between any particular pheromone and excitement or sexual arousal. But I think there's a placebo effect. In some cases, if you want to feel, and certainly if something smells pleasurable, like lavender, or even when you're getting massage oils and stuff like that. But we could not find any correlation that there was anything of substance, that literally, if you went ahead and, smelled something or infused something or wore something, that it would either make you or your partner much more aroused sexually. So we chose not to go into that because there was no basis that we could find that was actually based in science, that there was anything to that.
not even the smell of fried chicken.
Well, that might make you hungry, but I'm not sure to make you aroused.
I don't know.
You've never had really good fried chicken.
I've never had that fried chicken that was quite that good. You know what I mean? I've had some fried chicken that I'd go back for that, but I never really looked down and went, wow, I'm like really aroused here.
I've gone back to more fried chicken establishments than I have gone back on second dates in history. So I just want to say,
just out of curiosity, what's your favorite fried chicken?
Popeyes.
Oh, no. See, you're wrong. And I wish they would be a sponsor, but the best fried chicken in DFW is a place called Slow Bone. And
Slow Bone?
You could have used that as your product name as well, Jeff.
I was going to say, maybe that's our tagline,
there you go. Yeah. I'm sure they would team up with y'all, but they actually, they're a barbecue joint, and they won best fried chicken in Texas. A barbecue joint.
And that's saying something.
A barbecue joint won best fried chicken. It's amazing. And I'm not a fried chicken fan. They have amazing fried chicken. So next time you're in Dallas, you're going to have to give us a shout.
Is it heavy breading or light?
Very light, very spiced, just perfectly. It would knock your socks off. Yeah.
And I'm a chicken hawk. I love chicken.
Yeah. So when you come to DFW, you'll have to give us a shout, and we'll take you over to Slow Bone. You'll have their fried chicken.
See, I'm 50% aroused now, so
we'll drop you off at Popeyes.
Yeah,
because it's a lot cheaper at Popeyes.
Mm.
Yeah, Popeyes is kind of the McDonald's. I've never been there. Kind of the Popeyes of fried chicken, right?
No, I mean, I'd say KFC's closer to the McDonald's of fried chicken. But I did actually see an advert last year on a billboard outside of the KFC I used to go to when I lived pretty close to it. And it had on this billboard right next to this KFC, it had bucket, $24.99. It's like, you're not even trying anymore. It's like, come and get the bucket, you fat piece of shit. You know, I mean, be a bit more, you know, imaginative with your advertising.
Yeah, that's pretty direct. I mean, and a bucket, that better be for what, 6 people?
Yeah, I mean, remember, we're from Texas, so like a bucket, that's like 1, maybe 2 servings.
Yeah. Well, wait a second. You guys just tell me you can split a keg of beer in a day and a half. Maybe that is a single serving. As a matter of fact,
we do things right in Texas, my friend.
If you can drink that much, that might be an appetizer.
Well, we have a few of the Nephilim who live with us as well, and they have pretty hardy appetites.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Oh. Well, let me let you go ahead and answer my question, because you kind of got into the pheromone thing. So what's next on the horizon for the company?
We have a number of initiatives in the works right now. We're looking at some testosterone supplements, and we're looking for some science. You know, our own internal people, like 4 or 5 of our internal marketing people, literally had all their testosterone levels measured. You know, we went to a lab, and we're trying some of these supplements we developed. And then 30, 60, and 90 days, we're going to go back and we're going to look at those levels, and everything else being equal, to see if that will help boost testosterone levels, which would be important to us. We're looking at some additional lubes in the female area, that our business is growing rapidly in the women's area. We were 100% men's product when all we had was a delay spray. But since we've had lubes and vibrators now, and, you know, the women's VitaFlux, our women's business is growing rapidly. So we're looking in the women's area as well. We are developing a couple new condoms as well. You know, we're looking into some non-latex types, because certain people have allergies to latex. So we don't have anything really revolutionary, you know, on the horizon. We have some evolutionary products, which are stemming from, while we've had success in this area, what would be the logical next product in this space. We're always looking for something revolutionary, but those are hard, you know, far and few in between to come by. So we're keeping our eyes and ears open there. We just added a second female arousal gel. We had a warming gel. We just have now a more intensive one that's a buzzing gel. In addition to our delay spray, we just developed a delay wipe, because the little bottle is convenient. It's nice. People love it. But in some cases, they're going, I'm going to a club this evening, you know, I'm going over to my girlfriend's this evening. In some cases, you don't want to have a bottle sticking out of your pocket, you know, and it's a little more intrusive to have basically a wafer thin little packet with a wipe for a single use is much more convenient. So we just introduced that in September.
Yeah, look a bit rapey, wouldn't it, if you were having a bottle of
I don't know, though. You could go the whole route of, is that a bottle in your pocket, or are you happy to see me? Well,
I
both.
was just going to say that. Exactly.
Both, but I'll be happier for a longer time because of this bottle.
Yeah, but like I said, it'd look a bit rapey, though, if you're just carrying that around. You might as well just carry around a bottle of chlorophyll and some, like, cotton wool or something.
A bottle of chlorophyll and a cloth, you know.
It doesn't matter how long I last approach to dating,
Right.
You're going to be unconscious anyhow. You won't feel anything, So... you know, we've been gradually adding new products. We're always looking for that breakthrough area, but those are hard to come by. And especially for a smaller company, we're not Pfizer, we're not GlaxoSmithKline, we're not a $27 billion a year client, you know? So we have to be a little more nimble. We have to really recognize opportunities, some cases before others, and seize on them. And, you know, I like the idea that we can, you know, enhance products that already exist, and we can find better ways to do things and, you know, build out our product line. So that's one of the areas that we're really involved in with as well. It's just, you know, when we first went into condoms, I was like, well, we can't have anything that revolutionary condom wise, because, you know, people don't realize this, but there's like 4 places in the world that make condoms. You know, one week they're in Malaysia. They produce 7 billion condoms for Durex. They shut that line down. The next week they do 7 billion condoms for, you know, Trojan. So, but people told us, hey, when I come to your site, I don't want to have to come here and get this, and this, and go find condoms somewhere else. and people wanted us to round out. And that's why I've always been honest with people. I'll go, don't ever come to our site and go, I just want to come there and buy condoms. You can buy those anywhere. That's a convenience that we have, that, hey, as long as you're here, boom, get them. We have some massage oils that are actually very good, but they're not anything revolutionary. But a lot of people told us, hey, I love giving my partner a massage prior to our intimacy to kind of relax one another. So we did those, and we did our best we could to make really top-notch massage oils. But they're not what sets us apart. What sets us apart are our delay spray, which is patented, and it's clearly the best on the market. Our VitaFlux, which is just the best on the market. Our female arousal gels are superb. Those are our three foundational products. Those are products that you'll get a better product from us than you'll get anywhere else. But the other products we have are good. They're as good as anything else out there, but they're commodities. They're, massage oils you can get anywhere. Condoms you can get anywhere. We did those because people didn't want to go, I can come here and get my female arousal gel, my Promescent delay spray, and my VitaFlux, but then I got to go somewhere else and get this, this, and this. So it's convenience. We would add those, but I would not tell you to come to our site because you can get those elsewhere. But you come because you get the foundational products, and then the other ones just happen to, as a convenience factor. We have had a lot of success, and we are going to expand our vibrator line. We have vibrators and male masturbatory devices. And we did that in conjunction with our urologist because I was unaware of this, and certain women have pelvic pain, and all women don't have the exact same shape, and certain vibrators are much more pleasurable for a woman who has a pelvic condition. So our vibrators are all top of the line, and they're all designed specifically for people with specific needs, and even some of these arc waves and male masturbatory devices that are out there now. There's one called a MyHixel, which we have, which trains guys that tend to ejaculate very quickly. It's a program that it's all online, and it will show you how long you last, and you can adjust the pressure, tension, and it's actually meant to simulate feeling like a vagina. And a lot of men don't like the idea of training with a partner to overcome PE. They would rather train in a fashion and then know they have the control and to have the ability to last a lot longer before they get in bed with a woman. Not, especially if you're not in a long-term relationship, it's kind of hard to go, hey, you want to go out on a date? Yeah, and you hit it off, and then the second or third time you go, hey, would you like to help me train my PE? A lot of men are like, if I'm not in a committed long-term relationship, it's very difficult to work on something. So they would rather have a device. So we actually have these devices that are made for men to specifically work on extending their time during intimacy, and they've been very successful. So we keep all our options open. We listen to our customers. When our customers say to us, I really think you ought to go in this area, we kind of perk up and we take note of it. Then you hear it a second, third, fourth time, and then you're like, whoa, there must really be a need. But when we do hear something a second, third, or fourth time, and we get the idea that maybe this is mainstream, there's a need for this, then we'll send out an email to like 1,000 of our best customers and go, what do you think of this? Do you think that'd be a need? Is this something that you would love to see from us? And if that response is, 50% or more greater, and people go, yeah, I would like something, then we'll start spending the resources in terms of developing that product. And then once we get a prototype, I have a core group of our long-term, really, consistent customers. We start sending samples out. And, that really helps us develop loyalty, customer loyalty. When someone feels like they're part of the process, like helping you evaluate. I mean, I get emails because they come from me. You know what I mean? Hey, I'd like you to, I get emails back like, oh my God, I feel honored. I'd love to, be part of this. And, I give people my home office number, hey, I'd like to ask you. They'll go, I can't believe it. You gave me, I go, you're important to me. You know what I mean? Like before I go down the path of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars developing a new product, I want to talk to people who are actually using it. And I want to talk to people who are going to give me honest feedback. And you obviously like our products. You've been using it for 7 or 8 years. You orders product 40 times. I mean, your input is very valuable to me. I want to hear what you have to say about this space and about the offering that we're thinking of developing and offering. And one of the reasons that we went with our second female arousal gel, it had come down to two, a warming and a buzzing gel. And the buzzing gel was well received, but it was a little too intense for certain people because clitorises aren't so much like penises. There's not the next guy that ever tells me I don't like being blown, I'm not really a fan of blowjobs, will be the first. Okay, that will be the first ever. There are a lot of women that literally feel uncomfortable during oral sex. And sometimes I think it's because they're worried about smell. Sometimes I think they're worried about, my God, my body doesn't look that attractive to me, blah, 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 blah. You guys are both married now, but I'm sure there were times when you were single where you date someone and they're like, oh my God, my clitoris is so sensitive. Be very careful, like a light touch around the edge, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, okay, I know. Then the next woman you meet is like, oh my God, I need direct pressure, very hard, right on. And as a guy, you're like, how the hell could this be the same species? You know what I mean? The same gender, where women's bodies are so different. And so we had a higher degree of interest in the warming, even though certain people like the buzzing gel. But then after we introduced the warming gel, we had some of the people that tried the buzzing gel go, oh my God, I love that. I need to buy that. And I'm like, well, the market won't be as big, but there are certain people that really want that product. So we need to introduce it. And we did. And just like we thought, it's not as big as the warming, but it's a definitive group that it's generally the group that wants more direct stimulation, a higher degree of stimulation, that they do like it and order it on a regular basis. So it's very interesting when you develop products. It's not at all like you think. You know what I mean? It's very subtle. You have to have feedback. And I think that's where a lot of companies fail, because they go, we just developed the best thing ever and you're going to buy it. For us, it's not about that at all. Talking to our customers, getting the idea, what it is they want, and then developing it with them in mind and allowing them to participate and allowing them to actually try it and give us feedback, because ultimately they're the ones going to be buying it.
Sorry, Jeff. I was just kind of trying to figure out from some of the notes I got about you, what's your major channels of distribution? Because you've talked a lot about your website. I mean, do you have much of a retail presence? And also,
Yes.
kind of, how do you do your marketing? Do you kind of sponsor certain things? Or, I mean, because I haven't seen any ads online, and I had been keeping my eye out. Probably, if it's in connection with my search history, it'd probably have to be a little bit more perverted for it to come up, actually. But yeah, where do most of your sales and stuff come from?
We haven't really focused on animal sexual wellness like horses or whatever. So we probably wouldn't.
That's probably why you haven't seen the ads.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. We might sponsor the Kentucky Derby next year, though, and go take your stud to the next level. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you might pop up then.
Well, if I see horses running with 5 legs, Jeff, we'll know you're the sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny you'd ask that, because we've actually begun to really work on developing our retail presence. Up until years ago, all we had was our website and Amazon. We got into Target with our delay spray, and that went really well. We're doing extremely well in Target. Then we launched in 1,000 Walmart stores 6 months ago, and that's been successful. We have almost our complete product line in GNC right now. So we do have 3 retail channels now. Target for the delay spray, Walmart for the delay spray, and GNC for almost our complete line of products. So we're on Amazon, we're on our website, we're in those 3 locations, we're on eBay. You can find us in many places. And I think this year you'll see 1 or 2 more bigger retail locations carrying our entire product line. So as we grew, but just like with our products, one of the things that we're very careful with retail is we've had inquiries from other retailers, but I want to make sure once we open in a retail location that we make ourselves secure and exceed expectations before we go on to the next one. Because the worst thing you want to do is be everywhere and not be able to have enough business to support it. And then you're kind of doing half-ass business everywhere. That's not a good idea. So we want to add someone and then build the volume up to know we're really secure there, and add 2 more. But when it comes to what we do a lot of podcasts. We do a lot of Sirius XM radio. We do certain people like Emily Morris. I don't know if you know Sex with Emily. She's the new Dr. Ruth, except she's young and hot. And when she says penis, you don't shrivel up and go, oh my God, this 90-year-old grandmother's talking about sex. So she's been very good for us. It's funny you asked too, because we're launching a fairly aggressive ad campaign January 11th, a week from today. Today's the 4th, right?
It is. Yep.
Yes.
Today, a week from today. And it's going to be on DirecTV. It's going to be on ESPN. It's going to be on a bunch of different networks. And so we signed a 3-month commitment to a fairly extensive ad campaign, because we're just now moving into that national prominence level where we have the sales ability to support that. And so this is going to be really interesting for us. This is a big move. And if it's successful, it's definitely going to take us to the next level. So we are in that, mode right now.
Gotcha. So, hey, Jeff, great that you could join us today. Our demographic, of course, is basically your client base. I mean,
it's right on.
Most of the people that are listening to this are, over the age of 25, 25, 55, 65, that middle class, guy working out there. Other than, like you mentioned, GNC, Target, and Walmart, can you kind of give us that little commercial of how they can find your product, your website, how to reach out to you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, we have a bunch of independent pharmacies as well. We have a bunch of doctors that actually stock it, and you can find them all on our website. I always tell people, start with promescent.com. That's Promescent. So www.promescent.com. For this reason, you'll learn about the products. You'll find out which products do what. And so number one, you'll learn which products are right for you. You'll learn the proper way to use them. You'll learn how they work and how to most effectively get the best benefit from them. And even more importantly, you then can type in your zip code and you can say what products are at what retailers, and you can go 5 miles, 15 miles, 30 miles, or whatever, and then see if you choose to go buy them at a retail location, you can go there. It'll also list some of the other online retailers. So I always suggest Promescent.com. Number one, you'll be a more informed customer that'll buy the right products for the right reason. And then just as importantly, you can then not go, well, I'll go here. Oh, I didn't know they don't carry VitaFlux here. They only carry the spray. You can go to our website. It'll show you within a certain mileage of your zip code which products are carried at which locations, so that when you get in the car and make a drive, you won't be disappointed going, well, I wanted the lubes and all they had there was the spray or whatever. So always go to Promescent.com, start the journey there. And like I said, if it's through us, it's a 60-day guarantee, 100% money back refund. There's no charge for shipping, because sometimes people go full money back guarantee. Then you find out, well, shipping's not covered. Plus you have to ship it back. So it's $6.99 on the way there, $6.99 on the way back. Oh no, by the way, there's a 15% restocking charge. You go, wait, 100% refund turns into you're still paying $20 on a $30 product. For us, 100% refund is 100% refund. There's no shipping charges. You don't have to ship it back. So you're going to get 100% of your money back, which is good. And that's why I tell people that's a great place to start. Educate yourself. We want to make sure, we just don't want to sell a product and then have you be disappointed. We want to make sure you're buying the right product for the right reason. And just as importantly, make sure you're using it correctly to have the maximum benefit from it.
Gotcha. And well, Jeff, thanks for taking that time out of your busy schedule today to talk to us. Fascinating product, fascinating company. One thing that just kind of comes to mind as we close, I was thinking about what you said about reaching out to customers and sending them emails and all that, and you're kind of surprised by that. Honestly, I'm not, because even though you mentioned like Walmart and Target, it's the era of the self-checkout and everybody's so detached from everything, and you're going old school, which is what actually people want. They want that connection with the product that they're buying, and your company's providing that. So we certainly appreciate that. And for those of y'all watching on YouTube, we appreciate you watching us on YouTube. Please click our little logo down there and subscribe. That helps us out. And with all that said, thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Wolf and the Shepherd, and we will catch you on the next one.